Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Today is the 13th day of the Omer, which is 1 week and 6 days of the Omer. All right, well, we just performed perhaps one of the simplest, kind of most, bizarre mitzvot, commandments that we have in our tradition, which is to count. I do think for a lot of us this past year, counting time, marking days actually has not felt so strange. So maybe this year and last year we understand it differently. But even hundreds and hundreds of years ago, the rabbis said in the Talmud, Al tihi mitzvat ha'omer kala be'einecha. Don't let the mitzvah of counting the Omer be light or insignificant in your eyes. Right? Take it seriously. Even something so simple as just saying, today is a particular day. And I think about that and I wonder, what is it about this mitzvah? What is so powerful? What can be so powerful about counting the Omer? Counting one day at a time from day 2 of Pesach till Shavuot, marking not fully the exodus from Egypt, as Rabbi Lebel talked about last week. It actually took the Israelites almost a week to get from leaving their homes to crossing the Yam Suf, the Sea of Reeds, towards what we might consider their real freedom from enslavement and from Pharaoh. But we count from that moment of transition out of Egypt to the moment of receiving Torah. Netivot Shalom says in the name of Beit Avraham of Slonimer that these 49 days take us, like they took the Israelites, from the lowest possible level of spirituality up to its highest peaks. It is a powerful time of growth and of change. And we too, we know, are in a collective and hopefully personal time of great change as we see the power and the impact that these vaccines are having on what can be in our society. We continue to pray that they keep the pace of the new cases at bay and in check. And we begin as a community to think about, what does it look like to come back together in person? How can we do that? When can we do it? Over this time period, our tradition offers that we study Pirkei Avot, often translated as the ethics or the chapters of the fathers or of the ancestors. You can have an opportunity to study week by week with Rabbi Kasher as well. Guidance on how do we live in the world? How do we be our best selves? So in thinking about this transition, this period of the Omer, I wanted to look back and see, what was it like for the Israelites moving through these 49 or so days? And a couple of moments stood out to me as I was thinking about their journey. And I just want to share one or two of them. The first is, even after crossing through the Yam Suf, which was such an incredible part of these 49 days already, they had so many incidents happen to them, some miraculous and huge, and some of them very mundane and small. But one of them was the attack by Amalek. Amalek, who has since then come to be a nation that is synonymous with real evil. They attacked the stragglers, the people at the back of the camp, the most vulnerable in the Israelite camp. And with a strong leadership team and with some good hope, the Israelites are victorious in their battle against Amalek. But I was thinking this time around, it was the Israelites who actually let the most vulnerable be in the back, unprotected. And so I'm thinking to myself, as we move towards our reopening collectively, who do we need to make sure we're taking with us? Who do we need to make sure is being attended to and cared for and loved? And I think about what happens to them almost immediately, which is they come to this place called Marah, and there's water there, but it is bitter water. And understandably, they complain, or understandably, they need water. And because this is a real need. And it's just not exactly the way that they need it. And just a few stops later, they're gonna want for water again. And that second time, they're gonna wonder, is Hashem even here with us? It's such a level of doubt for people who have just experienced really the most incredible wonders to bring them out of slavery. Their commentators read these texts critically. Sure, they need water. That is real. But to do so, to ask for it in the way that they're asking for it, it just feels hard to fathom in some way. As we move through to this reopening of our society and our community and to reconnecting, we will need to be nourished. We will have needs to meet. We will have wishes for how this process goes and what we ask of others. How do we find nourishment and also only approach one another with patience and with generosity of spirit and with love? We know this past year has taken a toll on the emotional and mental well-being of so many of us. Honestly, I think a lot of us feel that we have forgotten how to socialize, how to be in groups of people, or even just to sit in conversation. Perhaps we've been more angry out in the world, or more judgmental of other people. It's been a hard time. It's time to soften our hearts, to begin to lower the defenses that may have fortified us during this time to help us get through. So let us be gentle. Let us be kind with ourselves and with others even more than before. We talk about these 49 days as the road from Pesach to Shavuot, from the Exodus to Matan Torah, and that's how we look at them now. But the Israelites had no idea that that's how long it would take. They were just walking. And we count up in the Omer. 1, 2, 3, right? We're not counting down because I think we're supposed to access a little bit of the experience that they had back then of not really knowing. And by the way, even the Torah doesn't give us the precise date of the giving of Torah. It's only in a separate part where we're talking about counting 7 weeks and 49 days. That's sort of separated out from this journey and this story in Exodus. It is, again, only with hindsight. It's only when we're looking back at the story that we know how long it took, that we could say with certainty, yep, or near certainty, right? Here is the number of days that they had to count that we're counting in memory. We don't know how long this journey is going to take us. We just need to take it one step at a time and count it one step at a time. We look back at their story, and I want to ask us today, what is the story that we want to be able to tell when we look back? No matter how many days it is, whether it's 20 or 49 or 60 or 90, whatever it takes for us to get to the other side, what is our story? Is it a story of protecting the most vulnerable? Is it a story of bringing everyone along in a way that keeps us safe and healthy and feeling cared for and loved? And I don't know exactly what that means, but does everyone feel seen on this journey? Is it a journey, a story where we come to one another and we share what we need and what we hope for, but always with patience and with collaboration and with love? We're going to take these days, one day at a time, thinking about the story we're writing and how we and others might look back upon this journey, just as we do for the Israelites. And throughout it, let us hold faith together that we will ultimately reach where we hope to be. I feel confident in that. And for me, what that looks like is holding family tight again. It's sitting around the table for hours with friends and their children. It's crowding together with all of you, singing with every breath, with every fiber of my being, of my heart and my soul. Ken Yiratzon. Shabbat Shalom.